So one of the things that really drew us to this particular property is the pond. This is about a 3 acre, just under 3 acre pond, give or take. When we purchased the place and talked with the owner, they had said that it's the southern end of the pond where the spillway is. He said that it was about 18 feet deep. I've actually taken the canoe out and we plumb bobbed it because I don't have any of my fishing electronics here, so we literally just used a plumb bob. But it's about, this was this spring when the pond was full, and we've had a drought this year, so we're down a couple of feet. But it was about 6 feet on average throughout most of the southern half of the pond, which means in theory, we've lost 12 feet of bottom depth there. And the reason for that is all of the leaves, in the summertime, the duckweed, which is like tiny little lily pads. It doesn't have any roots, so it just floats, but it's prolific. They say it doubles something like every 48 hours. So you could take a handful of duckweed and it would look like a grapefruit in your hand. It's that heavy, that thick. All of that dropping over time, it fills in these ponds that are very, shallow bowl shaped. And so one of the projects that we've got going on here is we're going to have to restore the pond, and we're going to do that. We've already got one aerator diffuser out there right now. We've got a pump over here. I've got to build a little pump house. I haven't done that yet, but that pump is powerful enough so we can run 2 more diffusers, which I have here. I've got all the line for it and everything, so we're going to do that. I'll put one on the south end, one over here on the north end of the pond, and that will help. There was kill this last winter, ran out of oxygen, and we lost the fish that were in here, which was 2-year classes of largemouth bass. There were some 4-inch and some 8-inch bass, and then a lot of little 3-inch bluegills. So as we restore the pond, we're going to probably do some dredging to kind of get some of that muck and sediment out of there. We're going to repurpose a lot of that for our gardens. We're also going to use it on the lawn. It's amazing stuff. There's also a lot of clay in here, which we'll repurpose for things, and we'll show you some videos of that. So there's a lot of work that's going to happen at the pond, but it all correlates back to the rest of the property. So we'll take a look at that as we go down the road. So we're back now towards we're I guess about 2/3 of the way back on the property. And the area behind the camera currently, which used to be a hill, and the previous owners took 23 dump truck loads off of the hill and moved it right down here to create the spillway for the pond. So let's go take a look at that. Down here, we're at the south end of the pond, and this is the spillway where the previous owners had removed 23 dump truck loads of dirt to fill this in, to fill in the pond. And they allowed this little trench right here to be their overflow. So when the pond reaches the maximum height they wanted, the water flows out through here. Now, that worked well for them, obviously, to this point, but I noticed even this spring, this got deeper. And my concern is that if we were to get torrential rains when the pond is already full, that this could actually lead to opening up the spillway area, and we could lose all of the water and the fish that we're going to be putting in out of the pond. We don't want that. So we're going to fill this in, and at the same time, we're going to put in a culvert right over the top of the spillway here, which is when the pond is at its maximum height in the spring after the snow melt. That equates to approximately 2 feet higher than the highest point that the pond is at now. But in so doing, we'll put a culvert here, and we'll bring in more dirt, just like the previous owners did, and we'll fill this all in on top of that culvert. So it will effectively raise the pond then by 2 feet, which will give us, currently, we'll bring the pond to about 8 feet at its deepest point before we start doing any dredging, doing any other work on the pond. So that will certainly help our fish population once we get going on that project.